The grandfather clock in my in-laws' study chimed 8 o'clock, and I knew this was it, the moment they'd been building toward for months, ever since the news broke about my inheritance. Gerald, my father-in-law, sat behind his imposing oak desk like a king holding court. My mother-in-law, Vivian, perched on the leather sofa, her smile as sharp as her stilettos, and my husband, Ryan, stood by the window, avoiding my gaze entirely. "Thank you for coming, Natalie," Gerald began, as if I'd had a choice. The urgent family matter had been presented as non-negotiable. "Of course," I replied, settling into the chair they'd positioned directly across from them, the interrogation seat. I'd privately named it during countless family dinners. "You trust me, baby, right?" Ryan finally spoke, moving to stand behind my chair, his hands on my shoulders. The gesture that once comforted me now felt like shackles. Gerald slid a thick document across the desk. "We've had our family attorney draw up some papers. Just a formality, really, to protect the family interests." I didn't touch it. "What kind of papers?" "Asset protection," Vivian chimed in. "With your recent windfall, we need to ensure everything is properly structured. For tax purposes." My windfall. That's what they called the inheritance from my grandmother, the woman who raised me, who built a textile empire from nothing, who left me everything because I was the only one who visited her in her final years. $8 million, plus the company, plus the properties. They'd found out 3 months ago when probate cleared. Suddenly, the woman they tolerated as Ryan's plain wife became fascinating to them. "I have my own financial advisors," I said mildly. "Family is better than strangers," Gerald insisted, pushing the papers closer. "This would put everything in a family trust. Much safer." I finally picked up the document, scanning the first page, then the second. By the third, I was almost impressed by their audacity. "This transfers all my assets to a trust controlled by you," I said, looking at Gerald. "With Ryan as secondary trustee and me as beneficiary with no voting rights." "It's standard structure," he said smoothly. "I've managed the family wealth for 40 years. "Your family wealth," I corrected. "Not mine." Ryan's hands tightened on my shoulders. "Nat, don't be difficult. Dad knows what he's doing. Remember how he helped us with our investments?" I did remember. Gerald's help had cost us $30,000 in a failed restaurant venture where his golf buddy was the primary investor. "And there's a clause here," I continued reading, "that states any divorce proceedings would result in automatic forfeiture of beneficiary status." "Just a precaution," Vivian said quickly. "Not that anyone's thinking about divorce. Right, darling?" She looked at Ryan, who nodded enthusiastically. "Of course not. Nat and I are solid. So solid that you need legal documents to ensure I can't leave with my own money." "Our money," Ryan corrected. "We're married. What's yours is mine." Interesting interpretation of marital property law, I mused. Especially since we live in a state where inheritance is considered separate property. Gerald's eyes narrowed. "You've been researching." "I'm a tax attorney, Gerald. I don't need to research. This is literally my job." "Then you should appreciate the elegance of this structure," he pressed. "Think of the tax benefits." "I'm thinking of the part where I sign over $8 million and a controlling interest in a company worth twice that, and receive—" "What exactly?" "The privilege of asking permission to access my own funds." "You're being dramatic," Vivian sighed. "This is how wealthy families operate. Collective management." "The Fairmont family isn't wealthy," I said flatly. "You're mortgaged to the hilt. Your country club membership is 3 months past due, and Ryan's been secretly borrowing from my personal account for 6 months." The room went silent. "How did you?" Ryan started. "Online banking shows all transactions, darling, even the ones you thought you deleted." His hands left my shoulders as he stepped back. "Look," Gerald's tone shifted from paternal to businesslike. "Let's be frank. You came from nothing. Your grandmother got lucky with some factories. You don't have the sophistication to manage this kind of wealth. You need us. I came from nothing, I repeated slowly. My grandmother who got lucky built a fashion empire that supplies 3 major retailers. I graduated summa cum laude from law school while working nights. I'm senior counsel at one of the city's top firms. But please, tell me more about my lack of sophistication. Don't be sensitive, Vivian waved dismissively. We're trying to help. By taking control of my assets. By protecting them, Ryan interjected. From your family. What family? I was an only child, and both my parents are dead. Exactly, he said triumphantly. But distant relatives could appear. Gold diggers. This protects you. From gold diggers, I repeated, looking at each of them in turn. How thoughtful. Gerald leaned forward. Sign the papers, Natalie. It's the smart move. And if I don't? The temperature in the room dropped 10 degrees. Then we have a problem, Gerald said quietly. Ryan, show her the other documents. My husband, and how had I not seen this coming? Pulled out another folder. His hands shook slightly as he handed it to me. Inside were photos. Me at lunch with my colleague Michael. Getting into his car after a late work night. Him hugging me after we won a big case. An affair? I laughed. Michael is gay. And engaged. To a man named Stuart. The photos suggest otherwise. Vivian said coolly. Public perception is everything in your profession. You're trying to blackmail me with photos of me, working. We're offering you a choice, Gerald clarified. Join the family properly, or face a messy divorce where your reputation gets dragged through mud. Ryan's prepared to file on grounds of infidelity. With these photos as evidence, I was almost impressed. Any first-year law student could get these thrown out. Maybe Ryan finally met my eyes. But the damage would be done. Your firm's conservative. Even a whisper of scandal. You've really thought this through, I said softly. How long have you been planning this? Since Grandma got sick? Or only after you found out about the inheritance? Don't make this personal, he said. My husband conspiring with his parents to steal my inheritance isn't personal. It's not stealing if we're married, he exploded. For 5 years, I've supported your career, your dreams. You've lived rent-free in my apartment and spent your days day trading with money I earned, I interrupted. Your support consisted of complaining when I worked late. Sign the papers, Gerald commanded, or Ryan files tomorrow. I stood slowly, smoothing my skirt. You know what? You're right. I should have done this differently. Finally, some sense, Vivian muttered. I should have done this 3 months ago, when I first realized what you were planning. I pulled out my phone, sending a quick text. What are you doing? Ryan demanded. Oh, just letting someone know we're ready. Ready for what? The doorbell rang. That, I smiled, would be my response to your generous offer. Gerald's housekeeper appeared in the doorway, looking flustered. Sir, there's a woman here. Says she's expected. Send her in, I said, though it wasn't my house. Margaret Winters entered with the confidence of someone who ate Fortune 500 CEOs for breakfast. Which, as managing partner of Winters, Klein and Associates, she literally did. Sorry I'm late, she said breezily. Traffic was murder. I'm Margaret Winters, Natalie's attorney. This is a family meeting, Gerald sputtered. With legal documents being presented. How fascinating. Margaret's smile was all teeth. May I? She plucked the trust papers from my hand, scanning quickly. Oh my. This is ambitious. Fraudulent, but ambitious. There's nothing fraudulent. Coercion, undue influence, attempting to circumvent inheritance law. Margaret ticked off on her fingers. And these photos? Please tell me you're not actually threatening blackmail. No one's threatening anything, Vivian said quickly. Excellent. Then you won't mind that we've been recording this entire conversation. Margaret pulled out a sleek device. Consent laws are so convenient in single-party states. Ryan went pale. You've been recording us. Since I walked in, I confirmed. Including the part where you admitted to taking money from my accounts without permission, and Gerald's lovely speech about my lack of sophistication. And the blackmail attempt. It wasn't blackmail, Gerald protested. Sign the papers or Ryan files tomorrow? Margaret quoted. Judges love that kind of thing. Really shows character. You set us up, Ryan accused. I protected myself, I corrected. Difference is, I used legal means. Margaret opened her briefcase, pulling out her own stack of documents. Now let's discuss reality. Mr. Fairmont, you're correct that Natalie has significant assets that need protecting, which is why she's already placed them in an irrevocable trust. What? All three Fairmonts spoke in unison. The Rosalie Shaw Foundation, I said, named for my grandmother. It funds scholarships for first-generation college students and microloans for women-owned businesses. You gave it all away? Ryan's voice cracked. Not all. I kept enough to live comfortably. Buy out my apartment. Oh, did I mention it's only in my name? And start my own practice. I smiled. Winters and Shaw. Has a nice ring to it. The company, Gerald said desperately. You can't just give away a company. I can and did. Though I retained a small stake and a board position. Enough to have a say in keeping Grandma's vision alive, not enough to make me a target for ambitious in-laws. When? Ryan demanded. When did you do this? The transfers finalized yesterday. But I've been planning since the day Vivian asked if Grandma had finally done the sensible thing and died. Vivian flushed. I was joking. At her funeral. Margaret cleared her throat. As for the divorce Mr. Fairmont mentioned, we're prepared for that too. She handed Ryan a document. Petition for dissolution. Irreconcilable differences. Very straightforward. You're divorcing me. He looked genuinely shocked. Did you think I'd stay with someone who conspired to rob me? It's not robbing. We're married. We're married. Past tense, as off. I checked my watch. 43 minutes ago, when the emergency filing was granted based on evidence of financial fraud. You can't get divorced in 43 minutes, Gerald protested. You can get a restraining order that fast, Margaret corrected. Especially with evidence of financial malfeasance and conspiracy. The actual divorce will take longer, but Ryan's already locked out of all joint accounts. This is insane, Ryan said. 5 years of marriage and you throw it away over money. 5 years of marriage and you threw it away over money, I countered. I love you, Ryan. Despite your flaws, your schemes, your family. But the second I had something of value, you plotted to take it. We could have been partners, he said desperately. Built something together. We could have. Instead, you chose to be a thief. I'll fight this, Gerald threatened. You'll be buried in legal fees. With what money? Margaret asked sweetly. Your mortgages are in default. Your business is hemorrhaging cash. And that loan you took using Ryan's forged signature on Natalie's accounts. Fraud charges are expensive to fight. How did you? Due diligence is a beautiful thing, I said. Did you really think I wouldn't investigate the family trying to steal from me? Get out, Vivian hissed. Both of you. Get out of our house. Gladly. I picked up my purse. Ryan, your things are in storage. The unit's paid for 30 days. The code is our anniversary date, though I doubt you remember it. Natalie, please. Oh, one more thing, Margaret interrupted. The forensic accountant found some interesting transactions. Seems Mr. Fairmont has been skimming from client escrow accounts. The Bar Association will be very interested. Gerald's face went from red to white. You wouldn't. I didn't. You did. I just reported it. We left them there. 3 grifters whose mark had turned the tables. In the elevator, Margaret chuckled. That recording was beautiful. Textbook attempted coercion. Ryan made it easy. He always did like to hear himself talk. Any regrets? She asked as we reached the parking garage. I thought about it. 5 years of marriage reduced to a scheme. A family that saw dollar signs instead of a person. Love that turned to greed the moment opportunity arose. No, I said finally. My grandmother used to say that money doesn't change people, it reveals them. They revealed themselves. And you protected yourself. With excellent legal counsel, I smiled. Thank you, Margaret. Thank yourself. You saw this coming and prepared. Most people hope for the best. I learned young that hope without action is just wishful thinking. As I drove away from the Fairmont estate for the last time, I thought about Grandma Rosalie. She built an empire while everyone underestimated her. She protected it through smart planning and careful trust. Never let them see your hand until you're ready to play it, she used to say. I'd show my hand tonight. And I'd won everything that mattered, my freedom, my assets, and most importantly, my self-respect. The Fairmonts had thought they were hunting a deer. They never realized they'd cornered a wolf. 6 months later, the divorce was final. The Winters and Shaw law firm was thriving, specializing in protecting women's assets in divorce. The Rosalie Shaw Foundation had funded its first round of scholarships. Ryan was living with his parents, working at a used car dealership. His father had been disbarred and was facing criminal charges. Vivian sold her jewelry to pay legal bills. I occasionally felt sorry for them. Then I remembered the look in Ryan's eyes when he thought he'd trapped me. The greed masquerading as love. The betrayal dressed up as family concern. My new apartment had a view of the city and a security system that would make Fort Knox jealous. But the best security wasn't electronic. It was the knowledge that I'd never again trust someone who said trust me while trying to pick my pocket. Trust, like respect, was earned. And the Fairmonts had earned neither.